It is Saturday, and we are up in this thing on the shoulders of giants live Saturday. Welcome, 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 welcome. We are getting it in, having some more fun. Because you learn best when you're having fun. We've learned that. So we're gonna make sure we drop these gems, but we're getting it in and having a lot of fun today. Because we're continuing our discussion about how white supremacy has shaped our worldview. So last week we used a young lady who claims that she is no longer a white supremacist. So she grew up in the white Christian nationalism, get sect of life, or the cults, or whatever they call that stuff. She grew up Christian nationalist. They were straight racists. And she spent 44 years living like that. And then she said for the last 6 years, she's been free of it. And so she gave us insight on what it is to be a white supremacist, what it is to live like a white supremacist, grow up in those environments and exist like that, have kids, get married, all of that. She was talking about how, the violent white guy turned her on. So that was the foundation, right? And then we paired that with irvineP, basically how to reverse that white supremacist mindset, what we need to do to bring in a new framework. So we're continuing that. Now, this week, we're examining old messy Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse Lee Peterson sounds like he got a mouthful of peanut butter at all times, right? And so he's in an interview. I forgot the gentleman's name in the interview. I always forget people's name, but the title of his video is Back to the Plantation, because you're going to hear what he says about that. And I guess it's an African study professor that he's having a conversation with. So that's going to be the first part. And the second part, of course, we're finishing up our video of irvineP, giving her analysis and information on how we can free ourselves from these white supremacist mindsets. And for the second week in a row, we got the PH Diva up in the building.
Hey, y'all.
How you doing?
I'm good. We back up in this thing.
Yeah. So I had a chance to check y'all out. Sharon, I had a chance to check out the show and the channel. Y'all funny. Y'all is funny. Y'all be over there wild and having fun. I ain't got no problem with it.
We call it the wildest wake up show for a reason.
Yeah. And I see he be going live all the time too. Mm-hmm. I ain't mad at it. And one day, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I think one of the lives started at 11, and because I was driving, so I caught the beginning of it, and then it was about 4 or 5 o'clock, and that was still going. I like,
yes,
greatly. Look, my hat goes off to anybody who can sit up in there and get it done. But y'all have a plethora of conversations, and I ain't got no problem with it. So
all right.
Yeah.
So, did you see when we were talking, it was a group of black people, and we were talking about the black community, and then a white man came up. I think this was like Wednesday night.
No, I think I missed that part.
Okay.
I probably did catch that Wednesday. No, I did catch that Wednesday night show, because that was right after we got through recording. And then I did catch a bit because I was watching a little bit. Matter of fact, Wednesday was the day. That's the day he did that long stream.
Yes, it was very long. And this part was towards the end. It was 5 hours, and it was like in the 5th hour, the 4th hour.
Okay. So I did miss that part, but nah, we got to talk about that. But yeah, matter of fact, something you said in one of the shows that I was watching, it sparked the conversation between me, PC, and Pat, and it even made its way into our Friday breakdown when you were talking about, and I know us as black men, we don't like to hear it, but you were talking about us not being prepared to lead. And I had to think about it. Well, if we talk about, we come from survival units, and if we talk about how our families were just thrown together and we never had a chance to really self-actualize and put everything together, we didn't have the foundation put in place to create the black men like we supposed to be able to lead. So it's like, I ain't mad at that, because we talk about that all the time. So.
Right. And actually, where that came from was that Wednesday night show, that final hour when the white man showed up. Mm-hmm. And it was just a total contrast between the black women staying on code and the black men not holding the line. So
right. But we have to be honest about that. Like, those are issues within our community. Like, black women not on code and black men not up to par. Like it is. That's why we have our Friday breakdowns, and that's one of the reasons why we have these conversations on this channel. We got to get it together.
Yep.
So with that being said, Mr. Dion White, you helped to inspire this show. So thank you. I want to make sure you get your round of applause because I saw your comment, my brother. You helped to inspire the show. He says, "Thank you, Mr. Ward. This has been in the making about Jesse Lee Peterson, the JLP show." Live broadcast stream that has always used black people problems as an excuse to make money off of his own race. Yeah, he what they say, he a turncoat. That's funny as hell to me, call somebody a turncoat. You old shine bone turncoat. He also said Jesse Lee Peterson is the real Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks. He is amazing, and he is amazing helping his community from California and then reinvent himself to Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks. Right here, old Sambo. What else he said? Jesse Lee Peterson. He hope he watched this video. I hope he watch it too. Renee is in the building. How you doing, Renee? How you doing? Good morning, FBA. Good morning, my beautiful black people. Let's get it. My man Nemesis X is in the building. You know you gotta get your round of applause, my brother. My day one. Yeah, we back up in this thing, still alive and kicking. I'm glad that you was good, my brother, because last time I know you had to get you a drink. Uptight 24, how you doing, my brother? How you doing? Up in this thing, positive vibes, we getting it in. Hey, doing what we do. Great show last week. Thank you. That's why we had to invite the PhD back, because she came and she dropped them gems. So we're gonna do that. Shout out to yourself and the chat. You already know my man Ricardo Float up in here. All right, this is the greatest chat of all time. Let's do this. So like I said, we're gonna get started with Jesse Lee Peterson, because Jesse is a wild boy, and this interview is funny as well because the gentleman is supposed to be like opposing him, but you know.
And that's one of the things I saw that y'all did review the Just Pearly Thing video.
Yeah.
And so when we did it, one of the things that I was saying is black people show up and they want to engage in these conversations with white people, but many of us are not prepared to really engage in these conversations effectively. And so a lot of black people, especially professional blacks and educated blacks, have a very hard time standing on black business, right?
Right.
And so it's gonna play out in this interview. He was getting on my nerves.
Yeah. Nah, straight up. No, and also, man, it's like all of that. Like, stop playing in the sand if you ain't ready for everything that come in the sand, and stop inviting people in your world that don't like. Pearl has no skin in the game to help anybody do anything. She has never helped anybody improve anything, including herself and her dating life. So why do we care about what she say other than about views?
Exactly.
I'm just saying. So great comment, Nemesis. Always remember that you can mention the JLPs of the world, but pay attention to the environment and the system that creates him. Yes, my brother, you get the first star of the day, and that is the reason why we paired this video with Marimba Ani. But let's go ahead and get it started. Please remember, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's go.
First of all, I am going to buy some land down there in Alabama, and I'm a plantation. And I'm gonna start a new plantation so I can bring the blacks back and teach them to be how to work. Teach them how to work, how to respect, how to love God. Most black people don't love and believe in God today, even though they go to church.
Now, Jesse, let me ask you this: if I own a business and I said, I don't want you to come in to my business because of your skin color, is that my right as a business to deny you service based on the color of your skin?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, at least you're consistent.
Because you have a private business and you put that business together in spite of what Obama said. You built the business and you have a right to set your own rules. When the blacks I grew up in Alabama on a plantation down there under Jim Crow laws. And I remember when blacks were protesting, they took it too far the so-called civil rights people, and they were forcing their way into white-owned private businesses and tried to force white people to service them, whatever it was, right? And I thought then, these black people are taking this too far. You can't force a man. You don't have a right to force a private business to service you. But they did that, and it was wrong. Likewise, it would be wrong to make white people, any private business, take a nappy-headed person in if they don't want to.
So
a lot of things funny. It's funny that first of all, his shirt says it's okay to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hilarious that a man, that a male, a male that choose to live on his knees with a white appendage down his throat has on the shirt that says it's okay to be a man.
Wait, okay, so you know about the documentary a group of white men got together and did about him, where they were saying he was basically sexually harassing them. Like he made some type of house in, I think it was LA, because I know he lives in LA, but it was some type of like men's group that he had. And several of the men came back and said like he was acted inappropriately with them. And yeah,
you know what? I heard about that, but I forgot about it. I never looked into it, but I heard about that.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, he do be on his knees with a white appendage down his throat.
I mean, he sounds like it. And somebody with his worldview so I don't understand why people go on his platform.
Right.
Because he has a white supremacist worldview. He's totally assimilated. Like if Jesse Lee Peterson could turn white, he would.
Right. And again, you know, this gentleman was totally unprepared to be there, because first, who takes this man seriously, right? So the little clip they showed at the beginning where he said he gonna buy a plantation and bring the blacks there and teach them how to work and whatever else. If the man was really equipped to be there, he would have been like, okay, and they gonna teach you how to talk, Jesse. They gonna teach you how to put your bottom row of teeth back in your mouth, right? So you got to meet them where they at.
Right, exactly. So I thought, I've seen several people go on this platform, and I just never understood. But I think the best performance I saw was DC Young Fly, because DC Young Fly didn't take him serious. He didn't go there serious, and he flamed them the whole time. That's what, and Tariq Nasheed did a good job too, I thought, because you can't go to, like you said, don't go to Jesse Lee Peterson trying to be serious. You're arguing with a rock.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? And yeah, man, whatever, man. Because you know, with the mindset of his, there's nothing you can say that's gonna change what he says, whether he believes it or not, whether it's his true belief or it's the character that he's playing. If it's his true belief, you're not gonna change his mind. If it's the character he's playing, well, you're not gonna put more money in his pocket than the white boys, and you're not gonna grease his orifices like the white folks. You know.
Right. But you know, I think one thing that's important for us to keep in mind is that Jesse is an extreme, form or an extreme case, right?
Yes.
So it's a spectrum. And so many of us fall, somewhere not as extreme as him, but not as aligned with blackness and advancing our own interests as we should be.
Exactly.
Right. So it's easy to look at him and laugh, but the point is to really understand ourselves in the ways that we are cooning and, the like in our own daily lives, because we do it.
Yeah, no, but that's a great statement, because we have to be honest with ourselves. Like, we are insane. We are an insane group of people. We are a group of people who have been programmed to be self-destructive. So we will have those behavior patterns. It's going to happen.
Right.
So this comment says, and he's laughing so foolishly, let JLP go back to the plantation. I mean,
it is funny.
Yeah. I mean, but once again, like the dude, I don't know why he was there. I have no idea. No idea. It says, yes, Jesse Lee Peterson lives in California and he has anger problems, which he helps people from his own show. Okay. All right, Jesse. If you're going to Jesse Lee Peterson for anger problems, that tells a lot about you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Let me take this a little bit farther. You live in LA, right?
Yes.
So what if I said you cannot live in the neighborhood you live in because of the color of your skin?
if they own the neighborhood, if it's a private owned neighborhood, the government is putting no money in that neighborhood, it's privately owned, then they have a right to do that. Even black people, including myself, I'm very concerned when I see black people moving into my neighborhood, because I know when black people are moving in, crime, destruction, ghetto, stealing, robbing, and killing is coming back with them. And so I wouldn't want my neighborhood to be destroyed. So I'm very careful about who move in my neighborhood even now.
So, and you make that determination based on the skin color of the people that move into your neighborhood. You judge them by their skin color.
Well, now I made that decision by if they should apply, take an application and do a thorough background to make sure that they have a job, they've not been in jail, you know, they're not been part of gangs, and that they're going to keep the neighborhood looking well. And as a private person, I have a right to do that, and no one has a right to tell me I can't. Look at the black neighborhoods. Nobody want to go to where white people going back now, buying up the land and making it beautiful again. But I don't see people moving into the neighborhoods. When Snoop Dogg and all those people got money, they move out of the neighborhood. So why shouldn't white people have the right to protect their own neighborhood from the?
Yeah, because you know white people move in white trailer parks all the time. You know, white people see impoverished white neighborhoods and say, "Hey, that's a great place to live." So, miseducation of the Negro. Right. Go read chapter 9. Chapter 9 is explaining Jesse Lee Peterson's, the Jesse Lee Petersons of the world, going back to Nemesis X comment and what PhD was said about it's a whole environment that creates Negroes like that. He's an extreme Negro, but it's a whole environment that creates Negroes like that. And Carter G. Woodson talked about it in chapter 9 of Miseducation of the Negro.
This man, so he talks about, you know, it should be okay or legal to keep black people out of white neighborhoods if it's a private neighborhood. And there's really no such thing as a private neighborhood, right? So even when developers come in, buy a plot of land, when they are, you know, building or even surveying and excavating the land, getting ready to build, the city is always right there. They have to answer to the city. The city is sending somebody out to inspect what they have done. The city has to pay those people to come out there. So there's no neighborhood that is private, right? You're using public roads. You're using the public water facilities 9.9 times out of 10. And so there's really no such thing as a private neighborhood, but it just shows how idiotic Jesse is and how this man just accepts everything and doesn't even push back at all on anything that he's saying.
Yeah. And if it does try to surface level pushback, like there, like you said, like everybody's dependent on the government. Like everybody's dependent on the government. Even the so-called wealthy are dependent on the government, bailouts, all these other things. They have, I was watching something the other day. They have what they call bail-ins, where they have the money secured in the banks, that our banks that we put our money in, just in case something go wrong with the banks and everything else, because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Our money will save them. Like the United States government is going to protect its own, but also it's as if 100% of Black America is these degenerates, and 100% of us, well, excluding him, because he's the one Negro who is the exception, right? And Jesse not even listening to himself, because if you see the rest of Black people like that, don't you think white people see you like that too, Jesse?
Right.
Like when if white people was to build their own white-topia, Jesse, they would have you. First of all, you wouldn't be let inside the house. You'd be outside the gate with a chain around your neck and a dog bowl. So.
Yes. But you know, for some Black people, and we got to keep in mind what era Jesse Lee Peterson came up in, right? It was tough. And so if you can, you know, be the lapdog rather than the person, you know, totally on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And that's preferable to some people.
Right.
And he, somebody in the chat was saying that he used to be pro-black, which I can believe, and then came back. A lot of times this is just to make money for these people.
Yes. Yeah.
But he's from Alabama, and from the way he talked, is probably deep Alabama, and so he probably was a bit of a Sambo anyway.
Yes, took the words right out of my mouth. If you weren't gonna say Sambo, I was gonna say it. So, yes, no, but that's a great point, because further along in the conversation, he's gonna touch on his growing up, and what I'm getting from it is Jesse Lee Peterson came up from a very impoverished, enclosed, cut off place from the rest of the world, and he has a worldview that is very, very, very limited, and it's also been assimilated into white culture, and he takes that and he tries to compound on that, not knowing what the hell he's talking about. So right. When you see the world through white eyes, I mean, everything tastes like mayonnaise.
Well, it's funny because I used to live in Alabama. I used to live in Birmingham for a few years, up until like 2010. And it was like stepping into a time capsule. Like, in Birmingham is the big city where you have the educated blacks, but they were still just so docile and unexposed, and really just did not know anything about themselves as black people, despite the fact that a lot of the history took place right where they were.
No. Yes. No, you're exactly correct, because it reminds me of the surrounding counties here in Tallahassee. Whether you go east, west, north, or south, it's you're going back in time. Some of the stuff has been updated, but I can remember, like, when I first started working for the health department, like early in the early 2000s, we would go to like Jefferson County and Madison County, and I feel like I just rolled back into slavery. Like, is that an outhouse by the road? And yes, and then Monticello, you go in there and then you drive by the nigger tree, the protected tree. So these are these areas that folk like him come from. Now I'm with you. To my Clarence Thomas has a similar backstory. Yeah, a lot of these Sambos did start off as pro-black, but I don't know what happened to them. But maybe the money. So yeah,
right.
But let's let him finish embarrassing himself.
Blacks.
Well, look, let me tell you this. First of all, I think that the communities. I'm from the Washington D.C. area, Baltimore, Washington D.C., and there are incredible, beautiful, wealthy black communities that are almost all black, and it's a place that's desirable and most people want to live. So this idea that you just came up with crime and all of that, I think that has to do with some of the economic issues that we have in communities, the way communities are underserved. If you had fewer resources and things like that, even you might resort to that. And I think, right now, Jesse, to be honest, I never try to question anybody's sincerity, but I don't think you believe what it is that you're saying.
I know it. I mean, it's true what I'm saying, and everybody know it. A lot of people won't say it.
I don't believe
a lot of people won't say it, but you and I know that it's true. And by the way, when I was growing up, as I said, I grew up on a plantation in Alabama. I lived in a wood house with a tin roof. The bathroom was an outdoors bathroom. And we had to grow our own food and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes we went to the store. And you didn't see black crime like you see it now. You didn't see ghetto neighborhoods. You didn't see.
I'm just saying. So you're gonna see ghetto neighborhoods in rural Alabama
where they got an outhouse.
I'm just saying, Jesse. Like, where the ghettos at? Like, so y'all gonna walk from your outhouse to New York City?
Right.
Like, can we get some logic here? But once again, we're dealing with messy Jesse, and Jesse ain't come to be logical. He come to spread the white man's white supremacy.
Yes, but I think it's the gentleman on the right is remiss by not pointing out, like, Jesse, you are the embodiment of the stereotypical, what did they call those black people? back in the day, you know, the slack jawed yokel type, you know, the way he speak, everything about him.
Yeah, the step and fetch type. Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Like,
Okay.
and so who are you and how are you
Yeah.
fixing your mind to be able to say that other Black people are a problem when the stereotype of Black people has always been ignorant and uneducated and willing to, you know, shine shoes for the white man. And that's who you are.
Yep. The shiftless Negro.
Right.
It's almost like he's totally embodying you. You remember that logo that they had from the Coon Chicken Inn? That big
yes,
exaggerated face. It's like he's embodying the Hadza. I'm here to serve you, boss.
He really is.
Yeah. And but you're right. I was mad at the dude on the right because it's like you should be calling that out. You should be pointing that out. Like he's supposed to be. What they say? He's a African studies professor. Or I would hit him with the chapter. Hey man, you are chapter 9 of the miseducation of the Negro. You are the Negro who's looking to build the back door into the white man's area because you feel like you should be supporting everything white. You belong in the white world and everything Black is bad. But you are the one exception. You're the one exceptional Negro that the white world would accept.
Well, you know, it's funny because one of your older reels popped up in my feed yesterday, and it was the one with Dr. Claude Anderson talking about meritorious manumission, where which was a law and a policy by which enslaved Blacks got their freedom by doing good deeds. Now, a good deed was determined by their white owner, and so things like saving a white person's life. Things like creating something that their white owner could profit off of would get them freed. The other thing, though, was telling on the other Black enslaved people, right? And so Jesse, you know, he say he grew up on a plantation.
Yeah. They doing stuff, boss.
Right. And so, you know, he's used to that type of mindset where, okay, if I do something good for the white man, this is how I get rewarded.
Yeah. The crumbs are the crumbs. Like he is the quintessential Negro that this book was written about. He is the quintessential sellout Sambo Negro that's gonna slap his knee and do whatever that the white man needs because he needs that validation. He needs that. He's the one Frantz Fanon wrote about. Like all of our scholars, when they talk about these fully sellout assimilated Negroes that think whiteness is the greatest thing ever, they might as well use his picture.
Cultural misorientation.
I'm talking about all the way. Like wow. But that's we're not gonna play the whole thing. We're gonna let it play a little longer. Then we're gonna get into Marimba Ani because we got to cleanse our brain cells.
You didn't see out of wedlock birth and hating white people like you see it now. And my point is, Black people are not suffering because of the lack of material things. Black people are suffering due to the destruction of the family and the lack of moral character. Most Black people are immoral. That's why they are suffering. That's why they beg for reparation. They beg for affirmative action. They attack white people. We saw a bunch of Blacks going into a store and just robbing it, stealing and destroying it. Nobody want that mess around them.
So let me ask you this. If Black people were better off when they lived under conditions that you just named, that you grew up under, why don't you go back? Why don't you go back and live in a tin house with an outhouse? If that's the way people that look like you should live, like, then why are you making it worse for everybody? Why are you making it worse for the white people in your neighborhood? Why don't you go back and live in that tin roof house, wood hut with the outhouse, and start the process of making these neighborhoods great again?
That's a very good question. First of all, I am going to buy some land down there in Alabama, and I'm a plantation. And I'm gonna start a new plantation so I can bring the Blacks back and teach them to be how how to work.
Jesse knew he had him when he started laughing. He's like,
Right.
oh, this Negro ain't serious. This Negro ain't got nothing on him. He's laughing about this ignorant ass statement that he just made.
Right. But I think he should have gone down a totally different road, right? So you're talking about all these things and Black people acting out. Okay, well, when we were in those conditions where you say we behaved better, it was the white people acting out. Make him chastise white people, right? Make him put them under the microscope and say what they were doing is wrong. His brain would have malfunctioned.
No, you're exactly correct. No, you're exactly correct because you want to talk about atrocities, you want to talk about violence, you want to talk about these things. So Black people are this violent. Well, how the hell did we get here? Like, why is the world destroyed the way it is? Like, why have white people been the virus that they are? And get real specific. If you're gonna go on his show, I would do my homework on everything on Jesse Lee Peterson. I would make note on every bad thing white people did. I would go there fully prepared with my homework together.
Yes, because you have to make him indict white people and whiteness.
Right. And of course, he's going to say that's not true. That's not true. He's going to continue to say that, but just keep hitting them with dates, hitting them with empirical data, primary sources, all these different things. Make sure you do your homework. Of course, we know he's playing his role, so he's going to say, yeah, that's not true. You spreading lies. You Black people this, you Black people that. But hey, people going to have to. If the smart people gonna go research it, but like you said, you're gonna force him to malfunction because hey, white people have done all this destructive and they still doing it. Like the two black students that was hung from the trees in Alabama not too long ago, and they trying to blame it on self-deletion. Right. Come on, man.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing though. He can't, deny it. Right? He was there. You were there, sir, during those days. So now you're not going to tell me that white folks in white robes and hoods wasn't running up in the Black neighborhoods and terrorizing folks? You going to tell us that they weren't pouring stuff on Black people's heads who was just sitting there trying to get a plate of food or a drink of water? Like, you were there. So there's no way you can deny that. We can pull up the footage, sir. But again, this gentleman seemed like he came to kiki with his old ignorant uncle.
Exactly. Like to Jesse Lee Peterson show. Like, nah, like I wouldn't. Well, first of all, like it's a waste of time being there. But if you're gonna be there, at least have your stuff together. Like, but all right.
Teaching them how to work, how to respect, how to love God. Most Black people don't love and believe in God today. Even though they go to church, they don't believe in God, because if they did, you would have 70% of Black babies born out of wedlock. Black men and women hate one another. You wouldn't see the mama ruling the house and the man is weak. Beta males. You would see morality.
You know what's interesting though is last week the white girl was talking about how white supremacists use religion in the name of God to spread their racism. And then this week the assimilated Negro is coming back saying that Black people need to believe in the same God that the white girl last week told us that the white people was using to help facilitate their white supremacy.
Right. But again, if this gentleman was prepared, he would say, well, how can they love God when they the ones doing all the touching of children? Children aren't safe around them. So how can they love God? Yeah, they having these children in wedlock to a certain degree, because if I'm not mistaken, their out of wedlock birth rate is in the 40% now, right? But okay, even when daddy is there, daddy is violating the children, because most of those children who are being violated by their own father.
The Catholic priests have their reputation. Like, white supremacy was spread in the name of God. Like, Christianity was spread by the sword. Judaism was spread by the sword. Islam was spread by the sword. Like, white people use religion as a means to an end, as a tool. Once again, like we said last week, Black people are used by it. White people use it. White people have used religion to literally conquer the world by force.
Absolutely.
All right, Jesse. Say he's playing with this, and white folk. Yeah. they crazy. Jesse crazy, but I'm glad I don't know this dude's name, but I'm gonna find out his name, and we're gonna let his ass have it because he crazy.
Well, we just need to tell him, baby, stay home.
Just stay your ass home. Stay your ass home.
Of immorality in the black community if they believed in God. But I gotta ask, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I did really quickly, and that is, Jesse, and this is a personal question. If you don't feel comfortable answering it, I'm okay with that.
Yes.
But do you date black women or do you date white women? Or
Right now I'm not dated at all, but when I dated, I did date black women. Because black women deserve to have a good man, and most black men are weak beta males. They even when they get with a woman, they become the boy and she become the mama. And so black women deserve to have a good man. They haven't had one in the last 70 years or so.
Okay, all right, yeah. I was for some reason I was thinking you were gonna say white women, but okay. That's interesting.
Why were you thinking that?
See, if your ass would have done your homework, you wouldn't have asked that stupid ass question and been there looking like a fool, because that was a gotcha moment that didn't get.
But then he should kind of pivot and start going down the road of, okay, well, if you so in favor of strong men, the black women still deserve a strong man. So why aren't you dating Jesse?
Yeah. I'm just saying, you so great and all these things. Also, if you are so strong, why you got all that white man DNA dripping off your lip? I'm just saying, hey Jesse, I'm just saying, you trying to reproduce? I'm just saying, what you trying to do now?
Well,
get off your knees.
To be real, the gentleman on the right looked like he got a little bit of man DNA dripping off his lips too. So
hey, look, I wasn't gonna say nothing, because I was trying to be nice because I don't know him like that. But I did peep the mannerisms though.
Right.
hey, we went to FAMU. We know. We know.
Because you seem to have a lot of animus towards black women.
No. I don't have any anger toward anybody. I love all people. That's why I tell black people the truth, because I love them. I don't lie to them and pretend that it's racism or sexism or homophobism or Islamophobism or deadbeat dadism or anti-Semitism. It's either right or wrong, good or evil. And black people at one time knew that. Prior to the civil rights movement, they believed in God. They got married for the most part. They didn't have all these children out of wedlock and begged somebody else to take care of them. So I'm trying to bring them back to a time when they were moral.
So what is your opinion of Dr. King and the civil rights movement and Ella Baker? What's your opinion of that?
Well, I believe now that the civil rights movement itself was one of the worst things that's ever happened to black people. Because I noticed that prior to the civil rights movement, black people thought for themselves, they did for themselves, they didn't blame anyone, they were not hating white people, they were not relying on the government, they were not begging for affirmative action and reparation. But after the civil rights movement started, the blacks turned their lives over to the so-called civil rights leaders and over to the Democratic Party, and they have not recovered. They've only gotten worse instead of getting better.
Okay. Once again, that's that white supremacist mindset. So, cause to them, that's that "Make America Great" rhetoric. That's that black people were better when we had more control over black people. So, black people had we enjoyed like physical violence. Like we enjoyed like the in-your-face oppression. Like black people enjoyed that. That's what he's saying. He's trying to illustrate to us that don't let what the other black people tell you. Listen to me, because I'm right, and I'm the one black person telling you that when the conditions were worse, black people enjoyed it. So okay, it was easier for black people. We had more love and all that stuff because okay, all right, Jesse. Okay.
Well, I mean, he sounds like, and I think maybe you've done a reel on it. The old video of it was a black man interviewing an older white lady, and she was talking about how the slaves were happy on the plantation.
Yeah.
So it's that same type of mindset.
That's what he sound like. Damian Hayes.
Yeah, he wilding.
Yeah. Don't spam. Don't do that, please. It's okay to disagree, but don't spam, my brother. But let's keep going.
Well, it was a mistake.
I think that's an oversimplification. So you think that during the period that you praised, it seems like since you said you grew up in Jim Crow in a small wood house with a tin roof and an outhouse, but post civil rights, you live in a posh neighborhood in LA. So doesn't it seem like things have gotten better post civil rights because you're living a better life, correct?
Well, I was living a good life then because I didn't have the hatred in my heart for white people. I didn't blame them for anything. We were taught to love and not to hate. So even then, I didn't consider myself as being poor and all that crap. And so today, I live even pretty much the same, except that I don't have any hatred in my heart at all, and I'm doing fine. But I don't, even when life was tough, when I moved to California, I had to do it on my own. Life was tough, but I still didn't blame the white people for it. I was taught to work, to save my money, to invest, and to take care of myself. Men who blame and beg and whine and complain are women. They're acting like women. They're acting just like their mothers. So we're trying to show these black men how to stop being women.
Well, I can't speak for your mother, but my mother was not a whiner or complainer at all. She was a very strong woman. And I can tell you, as well as my father is a very strong man. But I would say, I think that the things that you said that you're doing through your organization are great. And, I'm very proud of you for doing that. The thing is, why you have to couple that with, instead of ignore what the white people are doing or saying or whatever and focus on bettering yourself. It sounds like you're saying love white people and white people are the best and this and that. And why not just focus on how can we better yourself? How can we better you? How can you get your feet on the ground rather than this White History Month and white people are so great?
Because that's not his focus. Jesse Lee's focus is to push the narrative. Jesse Lee's focus is to make sure that white people tap him on the top of his head, pat him on the top of his head, tell him, good job, boy, because you went out there and did your job and pushing our narratives, because it helps to have black people continue to be looked at as the face of violence, the face of corruption, the face of the problems in America. And Jesse Lee is standing up saying, hey, boss, I'm all for it. So.
Right, but he, there's a financial incentive for him to do so. That's he's making money off of this.
Yeah, I think financial and sexual, but
Right, absolutely. But I wish he would. I wish he was listening more and really trying to push back more, because Jesse Lee Peterson mentioned, he was trying to better himself and take care of his son. Okay, so Jesse, were you married? Did you raise your son in in marriage? Did you have that child within a marriage? Okay, well, now where's your wife now?
Right. I mean, we have to be thinking about that and have to be calling people out. Like, even myself, like, I'm an advocate for the black family. I'm not married, but I'm making sure that I put myself in a position where I can be part of that, because I want to add to that. And so that's why I'm on myself to make sure I'm doing what I got to do so I can get there. So we all have to be able to look at that as the men.
Right, but you don't have a son, right?
No, I'm right. with you. I'm with you on that. Like, but it's like, he's not going to look at himself. He's not going to take an honest look at himself, because you can't when you got white butt cheeks in your face. So.
Right, but a lot of those men, particularly on the right, have a problem with that. They preach and hoop and holler about one thing, but when you look at their actual lives, it looks very different. So there was one white guy who was talking to a a lesbian woman, but he always preaches, you know, most women are unacceptable. If she done been with more than this number of men, if she had a baby out of wedlock, or if she got kids from multiple men, she's unacceptable. But his wife is on baby daddy number 3, and that's him.
Oh yeah. I just saw that. The Andrew Wilson dude.
Yeah, and
so now it's different.
Right, exactly. But he jumped out the window when she mentioned that, right?
Yeah, I saw that. He went to calling her every nasty thing he can. But ain't that what they do?
Right.
Ain't that how they get down? Same thing with that Cooley dude who's going around telling dudes not to date single mothers. And not only is he dating a single mother, he's dating a white single mother.
Right, with 2 children from a white man. Absolutely.
I'm just saying. So now I'm with you. Like, we don't realize how we be making ourselves look crazy out here. We be saying all this stuff, but then you ain't living what you saying.
Right.
And you and kind of the same thing with the Pearl Show. It's like we have to realize, like, whether we like it or not, we live in a system to where what you do affects the rest of us. Until we become more powerful, what you do affects the rest of us. What I do affects the rest of us.
Yeah, but you know, and a lot of times that's the way we get. That's part of reality testing in order to keep ourselves from getting gooped or taken advantage of or scammed, right? And so all these people, you know, following Pearl, and one of the statements she made was, "Oh, you know, well, women want bad guys when they're young and hot. It's not until they old and ugly that they want the stable guy." And so just a little bit of reality testing, one of those women, rather than jumping out the window, should have asked, okay, well, Pearl, are you married? Because you was young and ugly. You was adolescent and ugly. You was out the womb and ugly. So you should have always been on the stable men. And so now where's the evidence that what you're saying is true?
No, you're correct. You're correct. Because even I said in the video, I was like, Pearl is the white girl known for dating the bottom of the barrel black dudes who still cheat on her. So that's why I couldn't understand why her opinion is even needed, because but that's what we do, that because white ice is colder. It says but I like this comment. It says ultimately I'm less concerned with JLP. He's visible. It's the William O'Neill. I'm concerned with JLP is acting the way he does because he's a reflection of what we. Now you're right. It's a more of a revealing of our inadequacies as a whole of a people. Our insanity is coming to the top. It's showing. If one bump his toe, we all feel the pain. Right. It says we only as strong if the weak are strengthened. Yep. So now we finna cleanse our brains with Dr. Marimba Ani and helping us to be able to understand people like Jesse Lee Peterson better, but also throw off that type of mindset, because Gradley, that boy on that stuff. That white man stuff. It says, Mr. Ward, I went on the JLP site to find the name of the professor that he is interviewing. Back to the plantation. No luck trying to find. Thank you, Dion. Thank you. I've been trying to find it as well, but here is, we're picking up where we left off last week with Marimba Ani. Please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share. Thank y'all for showing up. PH Diva, thank you for showing up, dropping all these gems. You a real one to me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
You see, because very often, usually, we want to keep that separate and say, no, that's not about ideology, but it is. Believe me, it is, and that's what I'm trying to show. So that what happens to us is that when we think that we are learning and we are in these institutions, we are actually kind of taking on European assumptions and presuppositions about the nature of reality. And those are very different from African assumptions and presuppositions about the nature of reality. Presupposition, we only mean that's what happens even before you begin to argue about something. You've got that in place already. We're not aware of what it is that we're picking up from these European conceptions that actually goes against the African spirit. And that's what happens to us in these academic institutions. The academic institutions have been along with the missionaries and the religion, has been one of the strongest weapons in terms of the destruction, or I should say the colonization of the African mind. Okay? And I'm about the work of decolonizing our minds. So, in order to cleanse ourselves, then we've got to know first what it is that we are cleansing ourselves of. We've got to first recognize it. So what I want to do now is to, as quickly as I can, go through some of the more salient aspects of European thought, European conception of reality.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'd like to happen is that as I'm speaking, you begin to think, well, is there another way to conceive of reality? Okay, because that's what I'm going to be talking about finally, is how do we as African people.
Before she gets started, no, that I love where we're picking up from, because she's talking about the perceived reality. And basically, Jesse Lee Peterson gave us his perceived reality through the lens that he sees the world through, than what the assimilated white supremacist lens that have melted his mind and covers his eyes. But I love that where we're picking up from, because we're getting a glimpse of why they see the world the way they see the world, and why they need to see the world the way they see the world, and why somebody like Jesse Lee Peterson will think it's beneficial to see the world through that same lens.
Right. And also how they get us to see the world the way that they see the world. Because again, Jesse Lee Peterson is an extreme case, but many of us have adopted their worldview and the way that they see the world. And so a very simple way of demonstrating that is, we have a cough or, some type of symptom, and we go to the doctor, they tell us is this type of infection or whatever. But there are other types of health systems or ways of looking at health. If we look at traditional Chinese medicine, they probably gonna tell you got a energy, your energy is, your chi ain't flowing the way it's supposed to, or you got a blockage, or there's something else. And so even in that very simple way, we accept their worldview and how they even view health and wellness and disease,
right?
Rather than some other type, because there are many different ways of viewing these same things.
No, you're right, because they have trained us to accept them as the authority figure. So if a white person said, going back to Pearl, if a white person said it, then it's confirmed,
right?
If we and staying in that lane, looking at the traditional health remedies that our ancestors or even our grandparents and great-grandparents would have, that they would use to keep themselves healthy, even maybe pair it with what even a black doctor may tell them. But it's like being able to, when us younger people, we'll look at it and say, well, that's old school stuff, that's not right, it's not gonna work, that's crazy stuff. But we don't realize, in our young minds didn't realize, like, people been living for generations off of this, like being thriving and being healthy off of this. It's not until like even these modern days when we're starting to be exposed to more poisons from the white person's environment and being exposed to more of their ways of living, that we start to become even more sick.
Right. And it's like we'll have to wait for them to come tell us something we already knew. Right. So when I was growing up, your grandmother told you, when you wash dishes, make sure you put a cap full of bleach in it.
Yes.
Right. And they would say, oh, you don't need to do that. And then when in 2020, when the virus hit, then they said, make sure you put a cap full of bleach in your dishwater.
Hey, man, look. I know what it's like to have that bleach for. They have that little feeling on your hands after you hit that bleach. Yeah, but you're right. Like I listen to a lot of that stuff, and that's why I'm not as sickly as a lot of other people. because I listened to a lot of that stuff. They told us to eat our vegetables, drink our water. If we really listen to our elders and follow some of the ways that they were wise people, that's why they were 85, looking 60, and still healthy.
Exactly.
So all right, let's let the great doctor teach some more.
Really relate to the universe, and it's a very different way. To begin with, let's just start. For the European mind, it is very important to make separations between things. The separation, for instance, between spirit and matter, between the mind and the body, between reason and emotion. For the European mind, actually there is no spiritual existence, and let me explain why. You have spirit and you have matter. First, they make these separations. They make them into what I call dichotomies. Those are splits. So you get oppositional pairs between these two things. Now, once they make the split, let's take the one between spirit and matter, then one becomes real for them and the other is unreal. Or one becomes good and the other is bad. One becomes superior and the other is inferior. That is how the European mind works. Why does it work that way? Because it is preparing the world for European power. Because the term that is the superior, the better, the real is supposed to have power over that one which is the opposite, okay? The example of spirit and matter is that matter is real for them, spirit isn't. Mm-hmm. So as much as they may sometimes use the word spirit or spirituality, they don't have a clue to what African people are talking about when they talk about spirituality. And what I'm arguing today is that as we begin to take on these concepts, as we think we're becoming more educated, what we're really doing is denying our African spirituality, because then we don't want to believe in it anymore either. Okay? Obviously, male and female. That becomes a value dichotomy for them, where male represents the superior, female is the inferior, and therefore is to be dominated, controlled, oppressed, and so forth. So you see how it works. It has to work that way because you can't have power over other unless there is an other to have power over. So that what they do is to continually make these splits, these dichotomies, to facilitate that way of thinking. Also, their thinking is very fragmented. Okay, when we get to talk about the African worldview, we will.
Well, one of the first thoughts come to my mind when she's saying that is they do that split because they're not spiritual people. Like historically, they've never been spiritual people, and they've always gotten their power or their advantage from the physical world, from the physical existence, what they can see, touch, feel. That's why, we talk about the five senses. We've always been taught just like the physical five senses. And then as we learn more about African philosophies and other Eastern philosophies, we understand that the senses go past the five physical senses, and they have always had a emphasis on the physical world. They've always focused on the physical world. They are not spiritual people. They don't have a history of indulging in spirituality the way that we do. Any indulging in spirituality that they would have historically has come from engaging with us, learning from us, taking our concepts and putting mayonnaise on them and using them. But that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear her talking about them fragmenting the spiritual from the physical world, because we're talking about people who have never had I guess you could say a foothold in the spiritual world. They've never really had power in the spiritual world, and that was one of the reasons why they had to make sure that they give us their God, their watered down God, because us existing in that spiritual realm helps to boost our self-esteem in the way we see ourselves and our love for ourselves and each other. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Right. And so, she mentioned them having a fragmented sense of self, right? Their body versus their spirit. And so fragmented means broken. But that is why they have such a hard time tapping into spirit, and it's always superficial, right? So even the racist white lady last week, she was in that ideology, and then she disconnected, and now she into something else. And we raised the issue of, okay, is this actually real? And no, it's not, because she really can't connect to anything.
Right.
And that's what you see with white people. Whatever is hot in the moment or trendy, they doing yoga and they're for this time. Then when something else, what was it that Madonna was doing with the red bracelet? It's something
the Kabbalah.
Then they doing Kabbalah. Then they are African shaman, right? And so they can never fully connect to anything. And an interesting example of this is Rachel Dolezal. Have y'all seen her recently?
Yeah, she's supposed to be back white again.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. But this woman was telling us, no, everything about me is black. I just can't see living life as a white person. And, I'm just so tapped into blackness. And now when it became politically and socially expedient, now she's your typical white girl.
Right. And she even looked like a regular white girl now.
Absolutely. And so this is the thing that I try to get black people to understand. With regard to dealing with and interacting with whites. When I say they psychologically more advanced than us or psychologically superior, it's because they are so adept at deception, because they are lacking in spirit.
They know how to put them costumes on and wear them and use them. Once again, they use religion while we are used by religion.
Absolutely.
That's the mark of savage people. Yeah, so she's Dr. Remember, I need to be getting it in, and shout out to you too, PhD, because you be on it. Shout out.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
See the difference. I want you to keep these things in mind so that later we can see how they compare. Because one of the things that Coley Cambone tells us and that we know is that the survival thrust that is inherent in African cosmology and the survival thrust that is inherent in European cosmology or the European worldview, they are opposites. They are contrasting. They are different in such a vital way that our existence here in this place is we're constantly under threat because we're in an anti-African environment. And that's because of the nature of the European worldview. Its very nature is anti-African.
Can we talk about that?
Analysis. That is a method that they use for thinking all.
So she's saying the European worldview is anti-African, and a lot of people aren't really familiar with the European or the African worldview, but if you are familiar, they are in total opposition to one another. They are the antithesis of one another. And so I did want to take a little time to just talk about how they are in opposition to one another, because like she said, in a lot of ways we have adopted these things and we don't even know. And that's why I said, Jesse Lee Peterson is an extreme case, but we got to self-examine and see where it is that we have adopted their worldview over our own, because to the extent that we have their worldview in our black bodies, it's going to cause some sort of dissonance, right?
Right.
So one characteristic of the European versus African worldview is in how they interact or deal with nature. And I think it was you that was saying, they had to be focused on the material world because they evolved in a place where it was inhospitable to people being there. And so control or mastery over nature is part of their worldview, right? And so we're dealing with artificial intelligence now. We dealing with GMO seeds that they want to give everybody when, the food that is here already has its own seeds. And so the African or black antithesis to that is oneness or harmony with nature, right? So black women and black men wearing our own hair, no chemicals. We're not trying to assimilate. We are focused on having, sustainable food, that type of thing. Another characteristic is survival of the fittest, which is, Darwin, they taught us this from, coming up in school. And we sat there and we adopted it. Nobody told us, well, you know, the opposite of that, or another, I'm sorry, my food going off. Another option is survival of the group. How do we make sure that everybody survives so we don't have to compete with each other?
Yes. Right.
If you want to say something, go ahead.
No, that reminds me. There's a clip flowing around social media of this black guy talking about a conversation he was having with a white guy. They went camping. His family went camping with the white family, and the scenario on the table was, if we found enough food just for our family, and there's two families out here, how will we divide this food up? Mm-hmm. And so the black dad answered first. The black dad said, well, we would divide the food up and make sure everybody out here, all the kids, all the parents, have at least a bite, have something of this food. And so the white guy was like, well, I will make sure my family eats first. Mm-hmm. And once we have all that we need, whatever's left over, we'll make sure that you can get, but we're going to take care of ourselves first. Right. That's a perfect example of the European worldview versus the African worldview.
Right. And I'm sure that black father had no idea that white man thought totally different about that than he did. So we dealing with these people. We thinking these people are our friends. We going out into the wilderness with these people, and we have no idea of who they really are or what they really think.
Right. I mean, remember, I think it was years ago, the black lady who spent the night at the house with all those white ladies, and then she turned up. Yeah. She turned up deceased,
and they still don't know what happened to her.
And so once again, like she was saying, we're existing in this system that is not ours, and we think like them, and we behave like them, and we have the same expectations that they do, but we don't have the same outcomes that they do.
Right.
We got to get better.
People have to be analytical. We have to be analytical. It's very important. But for them, analysis is the splitting up of things. It is the tearing apart. And so they have to understand everything by tearing it apart. That's the only way that they can relate to things. They can never reach the highest level of thought, which is synthesis. It is when you're able to bring things together as a whole. And that's our legacy. Our ancestral legacy as African people is understanding the whole and how each part relates to it, so that the European mind cannot integrate well. It cannot synthesize. Now, another reason for that is that the way the universe works and that our ancestors understand is that it is rhythm. That it explains to us how the universe is a whole, how things relate to each other, how things are joined. Rhythm is the key. If you can find the rhythm, then you can understand how everything becomes part of everything else. For the Europeans, they have difficulty. They can't deal with the rhythm. So what do? They have to break the rhythm. They have to slow everything down. And that's what they're doing in their form of analysis. Again, if we use their methods, then we're only working with 1/4 of our minds or of our being. We're not using that pineal gland, right? We're not using that spirituality, which really gives you an understanding of cosmic reality and universal reality. Also, what happens from this is that the European needs to separate himself from the universe. Now, I think partly this may be, we can talk about this at another time, but it may be partly because they are actually in their very being represent something which is not a part of the natural universe. That is, and so they experience themselves, you see, as being separate from it. But that isolation, that separation between self and other results in what we call the ego. The ego, which is becomes hardened, becomes defensive, which leads to the concept of individualism, You see, you think of yourself as just being separate, and you're separate from other selves. And in being separate from other selves, you gotta compete with them. You gotta fight with them. And that's what they're all about. Okay, but some of the other implications of that are, for them, a chronic loneliness and alienation.
Thank you, Marjorie.
From nature, and alienation from the universe.
She said it right there. Alienation from nature and alienation from the universe. It's a totally different mindset, totally different lifestyle that they have, a total different way of seeing and interacting with nature. They are about being destructive. They're about, like she said, competition, dominating, being on top. Everything must bow to the white supremacists. They want to dominate every aspect of everything that is alive on this planet and have control of everything that they can, and any human being and any creature in it. That's their mindset. They come from that scarcity mindset, and if they can dominate the world, that's why they've think about when we used to grow up, used to make all these movies about these people who want to dominate the world and rule the world, and then people like Alexander the Great and all these other conquerors are romanticized and praised because it's about world domination. If we go study world history, we would see that it's a human being thing, but it's more of a white human thing. White people have worked to rule the world for as long as they could.
Absolutely. But, so another part of the European worldview is individualism as opposed to our collectivism. And so the crazy part about them wanting to rule the world is they want to rule it individually, and not even meaning as a group of white people, just they themselves. So what's the name of that book again? The Iceman Inheritance, where the white man talks about the Cronus complex, where whites are so focused on progress and, like scientific progress, etc., but they also destroy the environment so that the generations behind them can't progress farther than they did. Right. So they don't even want the people coming behind them to have it as good as them. They want to solely and individually dominate.
Yeah, no, you're right. And they will destroy themselves to get to what they need as the individual.
Right.
Because and we have to realize they are in a position to operate as individuals because they control everything. We aren't. So we be trying to operate as individuals in a system where it's not gonna work for us. It's not.
But it's not gonna work for us regardless, because that's not our worldview. That is not who we were created to be. I am convinced that, when you see those videos of large groups of Black people line dancing, I'm convinced that there's some sort of energy that, like, we can feel each other.
We can.
Right? Yeah, and it compounds on itself. The more of us get together, it's like that Bible verse where 2 or 3 are gathered. When you get Black people in groups, like, great things start happening if we all act right.
Yes.
Right? We get a lot of creativity coming out of there, different music sounds, different dances, all types of things. And so us, staying in our worldview is very important for us. And that's how we excel. And that's actually the only way that we are going to be able to dominate. And our domination don't look like their domination. Our domination is like justice and equality and all those things that we have been fighting for, since we got here.
Nah, you're right. I went to in June or July. It's a YouTube channel called Country Style too. That's by a guy named Art Fennell, and it was the Country Style Cook-Off. I believe this is the 5th or 6th year, and it's in Blenheim, South Carolina. It's in the country of South Carolina. When I tell you, that was one of the best times. I had so many Black people was together, just getting together, cooking, eating, drinking, having fun, dancing, loving on each other. And the energy, like you were just, when you were talking, you made me remember like the feeling that I had, because the energy that was flowing through there was nothing but love. It was nothing but caring, like everybody looking out for everybody. You're right. There is an energy when we get together, especially when we get together in a positive manner. That's why we have to work to throw off this white supremacist mindset and stop adopting their lifestyle, so we can make sure that we're uplifting each other as a group and healing each other.
Right. And one thing that she said that kind of stepped on my toes when she talked about how they their mindset is all about breaking things down. They, don't do well synthesizing things, which is the highest form of thought. And I know, like in my job, I do a lot of data analysis, right? That's what she called analysis, breaking things down into the components. And that's actually one of my favorite parts of my job is just being able to, break different pieces of data down and look at it under a microscope and that type of thing. And so, in that way, I too have bought into the European worldview.
Right.
So that's what I was saying with Jesse Lee Peterson. It's easy to look at him and laugh, but we all have to do some self-examination because all of us have adopted at least some of these to some degree.
And if we think we haven't, then we crazy. How can we live under a system of white supremacy and not behave the way that they have programmed us to behave? Like I can recall times where I'm walking down the street and I see a group of black guys and I think, oh my God, they gonna do something to me. And I have to remind, I'm a black guy. But it's that mindset that they have bestowed within us, and we have to be honest about it and not be like, well, it ain't happened to me. No, it happened to all of us.
Right.
No, first, this is not something that Africans suffered from, you see, when we are in our civilizations. We have to understand that. The concept of objectification. What that says is that in order to know anything, you must separate yourself from it. Now that's what the Greeks talked about, maybe 2,000, whatever years ago. And that has been a consistent assumption in European thought ever since. That is that the universe can be objectified, nature can be objectified, another person can be objectified, and must be if I am to have knowledge of it. Now what I want to show you is how that relates to behavior. Because if you believe that something is an object, then you can do anything to it. You can kill your children because you're not really joined to them, you see, spiritually. Nature you can destroy because nature is an object. So we have to understand that how the conceptualization of reality relates to behavior and encourages a particular kind of behavior. And we've seen that behavior. So in this process also, nature becomes desacralized. It is no longer sacred. The human self, of course, is not spirit. It is despiritualized. It is disconnected. The primary reality or the highest form of truth for them is what they call a fact. Now you got to think about that. What is a fact? And we say, well, just give me the facts.
Clearly we don't understand, and Sean Crosby, clearly we don't understand the knowledge, and clearly we're not applying the knowledge if we still killing each other. I'm just saying, clearly we ain't doing something right. Clearly we don't understand. Clearly we haven't learned if we still killing each other. And then clearly we might be working under a system that might be making sure that we continue to do that. I'm just saying, but let's let Marimba finish. You want to say something?
Well, just that, so there's a time and a place for everything, right? Even the Bible says it's a time for war and a time for, and so if we are going to war, understand that we ain't just going to war with them other people. It's going to be some people in our own group that we're going to have to war with as well before we able to even get to them other people. And so we want to have things in context, but I think, the issue of black on black violence, if that's what we want to call it, relates back to a lot of what Dr. Amos Wilson talked about in a lot of his work. He did a whole lot of work on it, but I don't think a lot of people are even familiar with him. And so they certainly don't know his work. And so how do we get this to the masses?
Right. I ain't got nothing to add to that. Right.
The idea of a fact is something which is totally divorced from context What is context? Context is how we get meaning. If you want to know the meaning of a word or the connotation of a word, you look at a sentence. You see how it's used in a sentence. You do the same thing, you take a sentence and you put it into a paragraph. You're giving it context. Take Africans out of their context and we don't know what's going on. You see? And that's how we're existing. For them, knowledge should not have any meaning. And so they talk about facts as being the highest level of knowledge. That could never be the highest level of knowledge for African people. For us, knowledge has to have meaning. Truth, that is, has to have meaning. The only reality for them is matter. So they exist in a materialized universe, which is profane, so that money becomes the symbol of value. It is the symbol of value of things, objects. The concept of time that comes with this European conceptual framework is lineal. It is only lineal. That's all it can be. It is limited in that sense, and it moves along one line. It's unilineal. For us, when we think in terms of lineal time, we're only thinking on a secular level. That's only profane. For us, sacred time is non-lineal time. Europeans cannot get to that level. So for them, to speak of the past, the present, and the future is to speak of three different things which cannot connect. For us, we live with our ancestors because they're not in the past. You see, they're in a time where we all are together. We can know the future because the future is part of what we are. So we go to our priests and we have readings. That's what we're talking about because we're existing on a sacred level at that time. We still exist in lineal time. You plan for tomorrow when you get up and you go to work and so forth, but that's not all there is. There has to be more. There has to be another level. For the European, there's only that level. That's what we have to understand, that it's very limited. What happens also with this, well, of course, for them, there's no ancestral presence. They don't believe in the ancestral presence. As much as they may talk about Columbus or Washington or so forth, they only see that as kind of validating who they are and forcing that into our consciousness. But when we talk about our ancestors, we're talking about a presence that helps to form who we are and helps to form our consciousness. And so what you get from this is an evolutionary, a unilineal, one line, unidirectional evolutionary model. And if you think about it, that's how they teach all history, science, anthropology, and everything. So what they can say is that all of humanity is moving towards civilization. But they haven't reached it yet. But who has reached it? They have. Which means that all differences in culture for them are explained in terms of the fact that these people just haven't gotten to where we are now. We're civilized, they aren't. That comes from, again, that unilineal model. So progress for them is only talking about how you can have technological efficiency, the efficiency of machines. It is only a material concept. They're not talking about how people treat each other. You know, they're not talking about morality. They're not talking about how we regard children, relationships, marriage, anything like that. As long as they can show that we're defeating nature, you know, we're beating nature, you're conquering nature, then for them that's progress. And again, it's that unilineal model.
Like she said it right there. Mastering nature, mastering the physical world is progress to them. It's success, it's power, it's being in control. But it also makes me think about, I think that was one of the disadvantages African people had when we first confronted European people is African people are civilized people. African people are loving people. African people are welcoming people. We're not warring people like they are. And we didn't understand their mindset, their way of living, their worldview. and they came with violence and we came with love. But they still operate with violence and we still operate with love. And you know, our scholars keep telling us to study our enemies. Neela Fuller keep telling us to study white supremacy, study it. We don't, and we still don't understand their worldview, the way they operate still to this day.
Right. So the thing is, when they initially showed up, you know, they couldn't come in with violence. They were outmatched. Like for many, many years, hundreds of years, they couldn't even get to the interior of Africa because they would show up, get bitten by a mosquito, and drop dead. Right. And so they showed up with all the diplomacy. Right. We want to trade with you. And then it was, oh, well, you all are, you know, nice people. This is our education. This is what we do. We got some clothes. You want to wear clothes like ours? And so they were sharing cultural things with the African. And unfortunately, and we still see it today, the African felt like his ice was colder, right? His culture was superior. And so we know about Alfonso I of Congo with a K, who controlled the interior of Africa, had a huge kingdom and controlled most of the trade in Africa at that point. When the Portuguese showed up and they started trading, he had everybody, dressing like the Portuguese.
Yes, he did.
His children over to Portugal to be educated. He adopted their religion. As a matter of fact, he was writing letters to the king and queen of Portugal, begging them to send more missionaries.
And
so,
in the foot.
Yeah, what we don't seem to understand still today is that your culture is your societal immune system. It protects you from the ills of the environment. And so once they adopted the other people's culture, it made them ripe for domination and exploitation. And that's when they came in with the guns and said, nigga, get down to lay down.
Right.
But it was a long process and they had to be complicit in it until they came with the guns. But we see this still today with Black people. They come through the door with all the diplomacy, and inevitably, invariably, there are Black people saying, hey, let's not let them in. And then there are other Black people saying, we could let them in. And in fact, if anybody gonna go, nigga, it's you who gonna go. Right. And it's not until they come in, they done seen, enough, they done interacted or whatever, and then they turn around, pull down their pants and show the crack of their ass that the other Black people realize, oh, they ain't our friends. Right. So that's how you get a situation where the Black man got his family out in the wilderness with some other white folks and not understanding that, baby, if we go and get into a problem, it's going to be every man for himself.
There you go. Now you exactly correct. It's you always gonna have those white sympathizers, those white supremacy sympathizers. Oh well, all white folks ain't bad. No, it's the opposite of the analogy. If 1,000 rattlesnakes are coming at that person's house, they gonna let them all in, and then after they get bit up, now they mad at the rattlesnakes instead of just leaving them all out. And it's the craziness. Like, but that's what happens when you have a group of people whose minds have been warped, has been put in the blender. We have been socially engineered to be our own worst enemies.
Yeah.
And it's gonna always happen. That once again, that reminds me back of that Palenque series that was on Netflix, where the black people in Colombia were living in the Palenque. They were doing their thing. One of the little boys had a little white girl with him. And they went and was looking around in the village. One of the slaves saw them and then followed them back to the Palenque. Now he had a decision to make. He could have been free, but instead of going free, he decided to go back and tell and say, "Hey, master, this is where those free Negroes are." Going back to that meritorious manumission. So
right.
Marjorie. The link for this full video for Marimba I Need, that link is in the description. So let's let her continue for a little bit.
We've got to be getting better and better and better. We look at our ancient civilizations and we think about some of the knowledge, the wisdom that existed in those civilizations, and you really have to wonder, do people to know more now. You see? What also comes from this lineal concept is this idea of, well, their idea of a future is unknown, it's abstract, and it's frightening. And so what they try to do is to predict it as much as possible, and that's what science is about for them, is how they can gain control, you see, of a future that they really don't understand. Because they don't understand time, they don't understand human existence. That's the purpose of European science, is to try to gain a sense of security in a universe that they are not secure in. They're not at home, you see, with the world. You hear them talking about writing all the time, and writing being the hallmark of civilization. Why do they put so much emphasis on what I call the written or literal modality? That's because, again, they're thinking simplistically. The sense in which they use writing is very different from how our ancestors used writing, which has to do, again, with more than just a profane level. It has to do with symbolism. For them, there's no symbolism in the literal mode. It is simplistic, it is surface, it is superficial, and it is one-dimensional. And it is used, again, to give the illusion of European power. Because then all the books that they have, and they talk about their written law and so forth and so on. But what that's really doing is only, what you can get through their books is only the outer, what we call the exoteric, ex meaning out, okay? And which for us as African people is the least important. The most important is what? The inner. You see, the esoteric. And that you can't get in the way that Europeans use writing. You can get it from our ancient forms of writing and some of the forms of writing that we need to study that exist right now in African cultures. And that are these some symbolic systems that are throughout the continent, like Adinkra, for instance. That's just, I'm giving you ones that you may know of, the Adinkra among the Akan people that we find mostly in Ghana. You see the symbols. It's on something. Okay. I knew it had to be somewhere. That's called Jinyame, which represents the omnipotence of the creative principle. Now think about how complex that kind of concept is, you see? And I'm just telling you one, you have the whole system of gold weights, which is so much more than material objects. They represent ideas and thoughts and feelings and the essence of things. So I would suggest anybody who's interested in studying African culture and African thought that you look at these various symbolic systems, which you find in South Africa, East Africa, all over the continent. It is this that the European does not have. You see, and you see how they can take something which is really lacking. They're lacking in things. It's a limitation, and then make it what is the essence, they say, of being civilized. Okay, and really it is what I call reductionist. Their thought is reductionist, and by that I mean it reduces everything to its most superficial level.
So I'm gonna stop it right there because of time, as it's one of them days because of time. But I started right at the great point. White supremacy reduces everything down to its most superficial level. Things that don't really matter to us as African people, Black American people, whatever title you want to use, right? But it's a totally different way of existing. It's an unhealthy way of existing for us. That's like taking an ant and trying to raise that ant as a spider. It's not gonna work. It's like taking a healthy seed and putting it into poisonous soil. It's not gonna grow, and if anything grows out of that, it's not gonna be healthy. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be nutritional. It's not gonna be something that can reproduce, right? And even reproduce anything else healthy. The whole job of reshaping our minds. Nobody's arguing whether the Willie Lynch letter was real or not, but the effects of it was. It explained how you socially engineer a group of people, and we were socially engineered to be these self-destructive people who see the world through white eyes. Our skin is black. White, what it say? Black skin, white mask. We have white minds. And we have to work to throw that off. That's why we are working every day to study this information, to learn more of this information, and actually use the information to help overthrow the system, to help take the chains off of our mind, to help be better, to help build better communities, build better families, just be better people, be better Black people in a way that's healthy and productive for us, not in a way that's healthy and productive for white people. Because like PhD was said, we don't like to admit that we have behaviors that help to uphold the system of white supremacy. So yeah, you got any, I know you got some closing thoughts for us in reaction to what Marimba Ani is saying, even something to what Jesse Lee Peterson had said.
You know what, he's not even worth responding to anymore, especially after we done heard all of this knowledge.
Exactly, Mr. Jesse.
Right. But so one of the things I do think is important, and you mentioned it, you know, we talked about it last week too, about how we let things use us, we don't use them. And so the purpose of all of these things, even this knowledge, is for us to use it in a practical way, not to just feel good about, you know, seeing a Black person be able to speak so eloquently and you know, tell us things we didn't know, but how do we take that into our lives and implement it? Right. Because in a lot of ways, you know, because we have adopted their mindset, we have a very superficial, as you were just talking about, and she was just talking about, view of things. So we don't understand. We think that we miss the plot and think that that superficial achievement or object is the point, when it's really being able to use that superficial object as a tool to better our lives and our community. So for example, money, yes, we need it to do things, but money isn't the point, right? We see a lot of people who have money and they're still miserable. They don't have good relationships with people. They don't have good relationships with their own children. And so for us, it is to get the money, but how do we use it as a tool to better our own lives and our community? A lot of times with women, Black women, we have to tell them, because they, you know, put a microscope on Black women and say, Black women don't get married. And so Black women have turned marriage into the goal, but the purpose ain't just to have a husband and say you got a husband. The purpose is to be able to create a functional family where you gonna make some decent children who you can instill proper values into, and they're going to be able to go out into the world and be better people and improve the community. So for all of these things, the point is to, again, use it for your own elevation and the elevation of the Black people around you. So I just wanted to, you know, drive that point home.
It's the PhD. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Nah, because that's real. That's real. Being able to utilize what we have to better ourselves, being constructive with our actions, being constructive with our words, our mindsets, everything that we have. Like, how do we use this to help us? Once again, that's one of the reasons why we started doing our Friday breakdowns. Is we looked and we realized that yes, we are just gathering this information and we're not using this information. You know, here I ain't gonna lie, I was looking at the conscious community here in Tallahassee. It was like, we ain't got a lot of production out in this community, but also talking to other people and looking at conscious communities, but also looking at Black communities as a whole. We can spout some historical information, but how do we use that information, and how have we used that information to make ourselves better? So that's getting into it, like the practical application of the information that we get, because it's not just about saying, okay, well, we're going to change our worldview to an African-centered worldview. Well, are you actually taking the steps to do that in your everyday life by how you are living on a regular basis? So,
right.
There we go. So somebody said, Kennedy say, so what are you going to do? Same thing I do every day because I live this.
Right. And that's the thing. I saw previously some comments in the chat about, basically saying, oh, you're doing this, but people are still killing each other. Black people are still killing each other. And Black people, we have to understand that there's no one solution. Ain't nobody going to be able to get up and give a speech or get on YouTube and make a video that's going to solve the Black community's problems, right? It takes all types. And so if you are a content creator, make content that lends itself to the betterment of the community. If you are a speaker or an orator, give speeches that lend themselves to the betterment of the community. If you are a psychologist, make sure that your work dealing with Black people lends itself to the betterment of the community. And so everybody can do something, right? We got so many holes. Plug the hole that you can plug.
Right. Don't be the person trying to criticize everybody from the sideline and you ain't never been in the game. Like, get in the game, get your hands dirty and all these things, and let's make sure that we're connecting. What are you doing in your household on a regular basis? What are you doing in your community? All these things. Right. Just make sure you're doing that. So with that being said, we're about to close this thing on now. So Marjorie says, planting seeds. How can we plant seeds of delineating from the bad seeds that have already corrupted our minds after decades? Now we have to. Neela Fuller talked about that in the compensatory code. He talked about separating from the bad seeds. And so being able to do that. Kennedy said, you live in a white man society speaking English language from England. So how are you going to change? All right, Kenny, whatever.
But that doesn't even make sense.
All right, Kenny, you got me, Kenny. Yeah. Their money or your own version of a competitive medium or exchange. He says, because what was the first comment? What? Now he was saying something about using their money. It was this comment: master money, and we will master them because it's their God. It's one thing that we can master. It's one thing, but we going back to a comment that Nemesis X had earlier, like we will never get around that physical confrontation. We will never get around that. Never.
And the thing is, even if you master their money, like anytime they see Black people gaining any type of traction, because it's their game, they just change the rules, right? So they did DEI, which was affirmative action, which was initially intended to help their women, and they were the biggest beneficiaries. But even the small gains that Black people were making, they came back and said, that's too much. Now let's change the rules. Ain't no more DEI, right? So
there you go.
As long as we playing their game, there's no way to win that. We're going to have to rely on who we are and what our strengths are to overtake them.
Right. And absolutely. Fred Sanford, I'm using the word African centered and it's interchangeable with Black American worldview. So I think Black people in America, I think we need a Black American worldview. I do think, I think we need a worldview that is specific to us and outside of the scope of the white supremacy worldview. But I use African Center and Black American worldview. I use those terms interchangeably.
So maybe we can update it, because that's actually one thing I did want to talk to you about. Like, it does need to be updated just because of all of the emotions around African now, right?
It definitely does. It definitely does. We do need to find a new term to use for that. So I'm not opposed to that, but just explain, I use them interchangeably because once again, I know I'm a Black person from America. I can trace my lineage back to 1850. So
right, me too.
Right. Until full independence is achieved, we're only as free as others allow us to be. On point. Do you really believe that the African culture will be accepted as a norm for American Blacks? No, we Black from America. We Black from America.
Right. That's not the point. So, people get tripped up by the fact that it's the African worldview. And really what that just means is it's the antithesis of the European worldview or the Western worldview. So what's the opposite of Western?
Eastern.
Okay, so you want to call it the Eastern worldview?
Right. Yeah, we can't get bogged down in the words.
Right. It's just the point that is the total opposite of what theirs is.
Right. Said Me Too 1807. Okay, so So I appreciate everybody coming in here. We had at the height, I think we had about 125, 130 people in this live. So I appreciate you all. Give yourselves a round of applause for helping this information get out. I hope y'all please hit that like button. When you hit the like button, that helps the algorithm and it helps more people see this information. This information get across more people and they can learn more and do more. So let's please hit that like button. Once again, the PhD Diva is in the building. And if you don't know, now you know. She be dropping gems wherever she go. That rhyme.
Okay, you rapping. Thank you for having me, Joseph. I love being here.
No problem. What you doing next Saturday?
Next Saturday.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, I'll be in Atlanta, but I still should have a couple hours. You know, I'm just at family's house, so
okay. But we'll talk throughout the week because I know it is Thanksgiving week. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm off next week. I'm on vacation, and I'm gonna go live a few times next week, and I will be back live tomorrow at 11. Let everybody know because it's Sunday and I ain't got nothing to do next week, so why not go live? Why not? So with that being said, let me go ahead and close this thing out. So. Reparation Nation, the total opposite of white supremacy thought is the Zamani Black African thought. There we go. But I appreciate. Go ahead.
Black people get too caught up in names. Focus on the damn message, y'all. Ain't nobody calling it the Black Zamani. We ain't doing that.
No, I'm with you. Now we do have to. That's one thing PC get mad about. So,
Jesus.
So Drobanot, I appreciate you for tuning in. Reparation Nation, I appreciate you for tuning in. Marjorie Lemons, thank you for tuning in. Grant 198 Tulsa, thank you for tuning in. God or Magog, thank you for tuning in. I apologize if I butchered your name. Hidden Fees of Life, thank you for tuning in. Fred Sanford, thank you for tuning in. Tell Elizabeth we said what's up. Ecuador, thank you for tuning in. FSU 4031, thank you for tuning in. Hey, I got a different perspective on FSU because they taking care of me right now.
Oh, okay. Well then, yay.
Let it be known. I'm a Rattler. I grew up in a Rattler household. I grew up in a Rattler/Gator household. So that's that. But if I am able to work alongside FSU and help young Black men within my community. So shout out to them for that. Real Nemesis X, my homie, man, my day one. Thank you as always for tuning in. Kenny D, thank you for tuning in. Even if you had a crazy comment, the comments help the algorithm. I don't really care because it's not gonna stop me from going to sleep at night. So Arne Bar, thank you for tuning in. Says Drobanot, I said you, but say you again. Thank you. FM, you already know what it is. Thank you for tuning in. Dion White, my main man. Thank you for tuning in. My lady, Renee Woods, thank you as always for tuning in and showing support over here. Zion, you already know you always show up, so I appreciate you. I don't know what you was talking about, Bendy Billiams. I have no idea what you were talking about. You talking about something with some Muslims and all that stuff there. We can't help with none of that stuff. But thank you for tuning in. Who else? Because I want to make sure I get everybody. You know how we do. Sean Crosby, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I don't know about all y'all comments, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. My man, gang, super gang in the building. We are on the shoulders of giants. Yes, my brother. GD Skates, thank you for tuning in. User JV8KR, thank you. My main man, Ricardo Float. You already know what it is, Ricardo Float. Thank you, my brother. Who else? Try to make sure I get everybody right. Right Sound Studios, thank you for tuning in. Uptight 24, I appreciate you as always. Creative Fish Designs, Charlotte, thank you. Who's this? Cornell Davis, thank you for tuning in. I had to kick somebody out. They was spamming in there talking something crazy. MC McClendon report. I need glasses. I ain't gonna lie. I need glasses. I need this new health insurance to kick in. So James Johnson, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Ash Shakir Whitaker, thank you for tuning in. Who else? I think that's it. Yep. So that's all the older ones. And thank you. I appreciate all of you all. Terrell, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you all. And once again, y'all give a round of applause to the PH Diva. He's a real one. Y'all make sure y'all have safe, happy holidays. For if you don't celebrate it, you don't celebrate it. But if you take the time to spend time with your family, make sure you all do that. Make sure we are building and not fighting. We're loving each other, not warring against each other. And make sure that if you are going to see your family, make this one of the many times that you go see your family. I know me and my family got to work on it, and I'm mostly talking to myself, but let's make sure if you get a chance to relax. Don't be doing crazy stuff, and let's be safe. And remember, I'm going live tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're talking about the lady in Chicago who was jumped by them kids. We're going to get perspectives on that, because that's all we got to talk about our community. But then, of course, coming back live on Tuesday at 9 p.m. And I might go live Monday. I don't know. But I know we're going live on Tuesday. So with that being said, happy holidays to you all. I love you all. Make sure you take care of yourself. Stay black. Stay powerful. Catch y'all on the other side.
Bye, y'all.